The sun was setting behind the purple mountains of the alien world Zirath, painting the sky in deep reds and oranges. The air was cool but heavy with tension. In a small camp near the edge of the forest, a group of aliens gathered around a small fire. They were tall and strong, with sharp eyes and scales that shimmered under the dying light. In the middle of the camp, sitting quietly on a specially made chair with wheels, was a human named James. James could not walk. He was a paraplegic, and his legs did not move. The aliens called him the Weak One, and many laughed behind his back. Near the fire, a young alien girl named Kira stood. She was proud and fierce, with bright green eyes that glowed softly. Kira was known for her strength and speed. She often teased James, making fun of his wheelchair. "Look at him," Kira said loudly, her voice dripping with mockery. "A human who cannot even stand, yet he thinks he can survive here with us." The other aliens laughed. Some patted their muscles to show their power. Others made rude gestures. James felt their eyes on him, full of doubt and disrespect. "Dead." He did not answer. He kept his eyes down, breathing slowly. James had been on Zirath for 3 months now. He was part of an exploration team sent from Earth, but an accident during a landing attack had injured him badly. The aliens had rescued him, but many did not believe he could help them. They thought he was useless. Kira stepped closer, her voice louder this time. "Why don't you try to stand, human? Show us how strong you really are." James looked up slowly. His face was calm but tired. "I cannot stand," he said quietly. "But I have other ways to fight." "Huh," Kira laughed. "Other ways? What can you do except sit there all day?" "The aliens fight with our hands and feet." A large alien male next to Kira snorted. "Maybe he can fight with words," he joked. "But that won't save his skin when the wild beasts come." James felt a cold sting in his chest, but he held his ground. He knew the world was dangerous, full of fierce creatures and harsh weather. He also knew that aliens needed someone strong to survive. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the laughter, the alarm horn from the edge of the camp. Everyone stopped talking. The firelight flickered as the aliens turned toward the noise. "Wild beasts," said an elder alien with gray scales. "They are close. We must prepare." James's heart quickened. This was his chance, the moment he had waited for, to prove to these aliens and to Kira that he was not weak. Kira glared at him. "You'll stay here and watch. This fight is not for the weak." James wheeled himself toward the camp's weapon storage. "I may not fight like you," he said, "but I can still protect us all." The aliens looked at him with surprise. Some whispered among themselves. James reached for a special device, a weapon designed for his use. It was a high-tech plasma rifle, small and light. With practice, he had learned to aim and shoot with precision. Kira crossed her arms. "We'll see if that thing saves you when claws and teeth come for you." The camp's gates shook as growls echoed closer. The wild beasts were coming, fierce creatures, fast and deadly. The aliens grabbed their weapons and took their positions. James moved to the edge of the camp, eyes sharp. He could hear the heavy footsteps of the beasts approaching. Through the trees, suddenly 2 huge creatures burst into the clearing. Their eyes glowed red, and sharp teeth dripped with saliva. The aliens shouted and raised their weapons. Kira charged forward with a roar, claws outstretched. She knocked one beast back with a powerful swipe. The crowd cheered. James steadied his rifle. His hands were steady, despite the tension. He aimed carefully and fired a clean shot. The plasma beam hit the second beast's leg, causing it to howl in pain and retreat. The aliens stared in shock. The human had helped, but the fight was not over. More beasts came from the forest, snarling and attacking. Kira was surrounded. Struggled but fought fiercely. James wheeled himself closer, shooting quickly and accurately. Each shot slowed the beasts. His presence gave the aliens hope. When the last beast fled into the dark trees, the camp was silent. The aliens looked at James with new respect. Kira came over, breathing hard, but alive. She looked at James and then at the others. You were amazing," she said softly. She snarled about you. James smiled gently. Strength is not just in legs or claws. It is in the mind and heart. The other aliens nodded slowly. Some patted James on the back. The mockery had faded. That night, as the stars shone over the camp, James felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. He was still in a wheelchair, still different. But now, the aliens saw him not as weak, but as strong in a different way. And this was only the beginning. The morning sun rose slowly over the alien camp, casting long shadows across the rough ground. The air was still filled with the memory of last night's battle. The wild beasts had retreated, but their threat still hung heavy in the minds of the aliens. Kira, the proud alien girl with bright green eyes, paced near the fire pit. Her thoughts were tangled with surprise and confusion. She had never expected a human, especially one who could not walk, to fight so bravely and skillfully. Yet here he was, James, the paraplegic human, earning respect from everyone, the other. Aliens were whispering among themselves, some nodding in quiet approval. But Kira's pride was harder to break. She stopped pacing and looked straight at James, who was sitting near the edge of the camp, cleaning his plasma rifle carefully. His face was calm, almost peaceful, as if the fight had been only a small test. Kira's voice was sharp as she called out, "Human, you think that one fight means you are strong?" James looked up slowly and met her eyes. "I don't think," he said softly. "I know I am stronger than you see." The other aliens watched closely. The tension between Kira and James was clear. Kira smiled, but it was a cold smile. Then, "Prove it," she said, stepping forward. "If you are truly strong, then face me in a contest, a test of skill and power. If you win, I will stop mocking you. I will treat you as one of us." A murmur ran through the crowd. The aliens loved contests. It was how they judged strength and honor. But no one expected James to accept such a challenge. Without hesitation, James wheeled himself to stand before Kira. "I accept." Kira's smile grew wider. "Good. Tomorrow, at sunrise, we will fight one-on-one. If you lose, you leave this camp." Gasps escaped from the watchers. Leaving the camp was almost like a death sentence here. The wild lands outside were dangerous and unforgiving. James nodded quietly. "I have no fear." The camp fell silent for a moment, then exploded with whispers and speculation. Everyone wondered how a man in a wheelchair could possibly defeat a fierce alien warrior like Kira. That night, James sat alone under the stars, thinking. His body was weak in some ways, yes, but his mind was sharp. Over the years, he had trained his senses, learned to think quickly, and mastered technology that others could not use. The challenge was not impossible. He touched the edges of his wheelchair. It was not just a chair, it was a tool. It's customized for him with parts from Earth and Zeroth technology combined. Hidden engines, strength enhancers, and a neural link that allowed him to control it with his thoughts. James knew his biggest challenge was not just the fight with Kira. It was winning the respect of a world that saw only weakness in his body. The next day arrived with a tense silence. The camp gathered at the large open arena, a flat space surrounded by towering stone pillars. This place had seen many battles, and it was where warriors earned their names. Kira entered first. She moved with grace and power, muscles rippling under her smooth green skin. Her eyes sparkled with confidence. She was sure of her victory then. James appeared. He moved slowly but steadily in his wheelchair. The crowd was quiet, waiting to see what would happen. The camp elder, a tall alien with silver scales, raised his hand. "The contest will be simple. No weapons. Test of strength, agility, and skill. The winner will be the last one standing." Kira laughed softly. "No weapons. That is easy." James nodded. "Just skill." The fight began. Kira charged forward immediately, fast as lightning. She tried to catch James by surprise, but James had prepared. His wheelchair was fast and agile. He used the hidden boosters to move quickly across the ground, dodging her first strike with ease. The crowd gasped. They had never seen a wheelchair move so fast. Kira growled and swung her arms in powerful strikes. James blocked with the reinforced arms of his chair. He pushed himself forward, using his upper body strength and the control systems in his chair to fight back. But it was not just brute strength that James used. He studied Kira's movements carefully, noticing patterns and weaknesses. He waited for the right moment. Suddenly, Kira lunged to the left, aiming a strong kick. James anticipated it. Using the wheelchair's quick turn ability, he avoided the kick and rolled toward her side. With a steady arm, pushed against Kira's side, using his chair's mechanical strength to unbalance her. Kira stumbled, shocked that a human could push her like this. The crowd roared in surprise. Kira recovered quickly and smiled. "You are stronger than I thought, but I will not lose." The fight went on, intense and fast. Neither gave up. James used every trick he knew. Combining his technology with his intelligence and quick reflexes, Kira fought with raw power and speed. The crowd watched, amazed and confused. The human was not weak. He was a fighter in a different way. After what felt like hours, both were tired. The sun was high, shining hot in the sky. Kira took a final step back and raised her arms. "I yield." James stopped, surprised. The crowd fell silent. Kira looked at him, her eyes softer now. "You have proven your strength today, human. I was wrong to mock you." James smiled gently. "Thank you, Kira. I respect your strength too." The camp erupted in cheers. The mockery was over. The human was no longer weak. That night, Kira approached James's tent quietly. "I owe you an apology," she said softly. "Judged you by what I saw, not who you are." James looked up, surprised but pleased. "We all judge too quickly, but we can learn." Kira smiled, a new respect shining in her eyes. "Will you teach me how to fight like you? Not with strength, but with skill?" James nodded. "I will." And so, an unlikely friendship began. Built on respect and understanding, but far beyond the camp, in the dark forests of Zareth, a new danger stirred. Something more powerful than wild beasts was coming. James and Kira would need more than skill to survive what was next. The alien camp was buzzing with a new energy. The news had spread fast. The human, James, had defeated Kira in the arena. For the first time, many aliens saw him not as weak, but as someone special. Some whispered in awe. Others looked at him with curiosity. But not everyone was convinced. Some still doubted a man who could not walk would have any real power. Kira, once proud and mocking, now carried a quiet respect for James, yet a part of her could not understand how he had done. How could a human with no use of his legs fight like that? What was his secret? Early the next morning, Kira found herself standing near James's tent. The cool wind blew softly, carrying the strange scents of Zareth's alien plants. She hesitated, then called softly, "James, may I come in?" James looked up from tuning his plasma rifle. "Of course," he said with a gentle smile. The tent was simple, but filled with small machines and screens showing maps of the planet. Kira's eyes scanned the room, curious. "I want to understand," she said quietly. "How do you fight like that? What is your strength?" James motioned for her to sit. "I will show you," he said. He reached beneath his chair and pulled out a small, sleek helmet connected to wires. "This is the neural interface. It lets me control my wheelchair with my mind." "With your mind?" James nodded. "Yes. My legs don't work, but my brain controls the chair directly. It can move fast, turn quickly, even help me fight. But that's not all." He tapped a small button, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed his body, but also hidden layers. Muscles, enhanced with cybernetic implants, a skeleton strengthened with advanced materials. Sensors in his skin that could detect movement around him. "I have trained my body and mind to work with these machines," James explained. "Technology helps me where my body cannot." Kira leaned closer, fascinated. "So you are a part machine?" "Not exactly," James smiled. "I am human, but I use tools. Just like your warriors use their claws and strength. My tools are different, but they help me survive here." Kira thought for a moment. In our culture, strength is pure, natural. Using machines is seen as weak. James shook his head. Strength is in the will to survive. It is in how you use what you have, not just what you are born with. Kira looked at him with new eyes. I want to learn. Over the next days, James began teaching Kira about his secret strength. He showed her how he trained his mind to control his chair precisely. He taught her about the cybernetic implants that helped him sense danger and react faster. Kira, fierce warrior used to fighting with raw power, was surprised at how much skill and strategy James used. His fighting was not just physical, it was smart and precise. One afternoon, James challenged Kira to a new training session. Let me see what you can do without your strength, he said. Kira frowned. Without strength? That is impossible. James smiled. Try. In the training ground, Kira tried to fight without using her full power. She slowed her movements, focusing on speed and accuracy. James guided her, showing how to anticipate attacks and use an opponent's energy against them. To spar gently at first, then faster and stronger. Kira's respect grew as she felt a new kind of strength growing inside her, one not tied to muscle alone. But the camp was not safe for long. Rumors had begun to spread about a new enemy coming from deep inside Zereth's forbidden jungles. Strange creatures, bigger and more dangerous than the wild beasts, had been spotted near the borders. Aliens spoke in hushed tones about the shadow. No one knew what it was exactly, but fear grew. The elders held a council. Kira and James were both invited. The shadow is coming, the elders said gravely. It will test our strength like never before. We need all warriors, strong and smart. Kira looked at James. You will fight with us? James nodded. Will do my best. That night, Kira sat alone, thinking about the coming battle. She had learned much from James, and she knew that true strength was more than just muscle. But she also feared the unknown. Suddenly, a soft sound broke the silence, a quiet beep from James's tent. Kira's eyes snapped open. She hurried inside. James was there working on a small device, a scanner designed to detect the shadow. This device, James said, will help us track the enemy before they reach the camp. But it needs power, a lot of energy. Kira looked at the small machine. Can I help? James smiled. Together? Yes. The next days were filled with preparation. James and Kira worked side by side, training the aliens to use new technology and fighting techniques. The camp changed. It was no longer just about strength and tradition. It was about survival through courage, skill, and unity. And James's secret strength became the hope of many. The camp was alive with nervous energy. Every alien warrior and explorer was preparing for the worst. The elders' warnings about the shadow had spread quickly. No one knew exactly what this enemy was, but everyone feared it. James sat near the camp's edge, scanning the dense jungle with his high-tech device. The neural link in his wheelchair gave him extra control, and his eyes moved quickly over the data on his screen. Suddenly, a red alert flashed. The scanner beeped loudly. Something was moving fast in the dark forest. Kira, James shouted, wheeling toward the center of the camp. Kira was training young warriors when she heard James's call. Her heart jumped, but she hurried to him. What? Is it? She asked, her voice tense. Movement. Something big. Too fast for normal creatures, James said. Pointing to the screen, the elders gathered quickly, their faces grim. The shadow is near, the eldest said. We must prepare to defend the camp. The camp gates were closed and reinforced. The warriors armed themselves with claws, spears, and plasma weapons. Everyone took their positions ready for battle. Kira stood beside James. You will fight with us? She asked. James nodded. I will do whatever I can. The night was dark and heavy with silence, except for the occasional crack of twigs in the forest. Then a low growl echoed from the trees. Out of the darkness, huge shapes emerged. The shadow was not just one creature. It was many giant beasts, covered in black scales that seemed to absorb light. Their eyes glowed like red embers and long, sharp teeth dripped with poison. The aliens gasped in fear. Even the strongest warriors trembled. Kira growled, stepping forward with her claws ready. "Hold the line." James positioned himself with the others, aiming his plasma rifle. But the beasts were fast, moving like shadows across the ground. First beast lunged at Kira, but she dodged quickly and struck its neck. The creature howled in pain but did not fall. James fired at another beast, hitting its side. It snarled and turned toward him. Suddenly, one of the beasts leaped toward James. His wheelchair's boosters kicked in, moving him back just in time. The beast struck the ground where James had been a moment before, sending dirt flying. Kira shouted, "Watch out, James!" James's hands moved fast. He aimed his rifle, but the beast was quick. It lunged again. In a moment of quick thinking, James activated a hidden shockwave device on his chair. A pulse of energy burst out, knocking the beast backward. The camp cheered for a moment, but the battle was far from over. More beasts came, circling like hunters. Kira and James fought side by side. Kira's claws slashed through the beasts. Scales. James's precise shots slowed them down, but the beasts were relentless. One beast managed to knock Kira to the ground. She snarled, fighting to get up, but a second beast charged at her. James saw the danger. He sped forward in his wheelchair, his mind working faster than ever. He reached Kira just before the beast could strike. With a strong mechanical arm on his chair, he pushed the beast away. Kira looked up, surprised and grateful. "We fight together," James said, breathless. Kira nodded. Together, the battle raged for what felt like hours. The beasts were powerful, but the aliens had courage and new hope because of James. Finally, the last beast fell. The forest grew quiet. The camp was safe for now. After the fight, the aliens gathered around the fire, tired but proud. Kira sat beside James. "You saved my life," she said quietly. James smiled. "We saved each other." The elders approached. Their faces serious. "The shadow is stronger than we feared," the eldest said. "We must find its source, or it will return." Kira looked at James. "Will you help us?" James nodded firmly. "I'm ready." That night, under the glowing stars, James and Kira planned their next move. They knew the dangerous threat was not gone, was waiting, watching, and soon they would face it again. But this time they would be ready. The morning after the fierce battle against the shadow, the camp was quieter than usual. The wounds from the fight were visible scars on skin, bruises on muscles, and a deeper mark on everyone's spirit. The danger had passed, but the fear of what might come next lingered like a shadow over the camp. James sat by the fire, his wheelchair resting beside him. He was cleaning his plasma rifle again, but his mind was far from the familiar rhythm of his work. His thoughts kept drifting back to Kira. Kira, too, was restless. After the fight, something had changed inside her. A proud, fierce warrior who once mocked, James now found herself admiring his courage, his strength, and most of all, his mind. She felt a strange pull toward him, a connection that surprised her. She walked quietly toward James's tent, avoiding the curious eyes of the others. When she reached him, she paused, unsure if she should speak. James looked up and smiled gently. "Kira, come sit." She hesitated, but accepted the invitation. They sat by the fire, the warm light dancing across their faces. "You saved me yesterday," Kira said softly. "I owe you my life." James shook his head. "We saved each other." Kira looked away, then back at him. "I was wrong to judge you before. Thought your body made you weak, but you were stronger than anyone here." James's eyes held hers. "Strength is more than muscle. It is in the heart, in the will to keep going." Kira nodded slowly. "Want to understand you better? Teach me." James smiled. "I will." Over the next days, James and Kira spent more time together. He taught her how to think like a strategist, how to use technology to improve fighting skills, and how patience could turn the tide in battle. Kira learned quickly. She practiced controlling her moves with more thought and less force. She began to see the world differently, not just through her alien eyes, but through the eyes of a human who had faced impossible odds and still fought on. The camp noticed the change. The alien warriors who had once whispered doubts now watched, with respect. Some even asked James to teach them. One evening, James and Kira stood on a hill overlooking the camp. The twin moons of Zereth shone brightly, casting silver light over the land. Kira broke the silence. "Do you miss Earth?" James nodded. "Sometimes. But this planet, it is becoming home." Ira smiled. "I am glad. You are part of us now." "Ah!" James looked at her, feeling a warmth he hadn't expected. "And you were part of me." But peace was fragile. The elders called another meeting. "The shadow's source is deeper in the jungle," the eldest said. "If we do not act, it will return stronger." Kira turned to James. "Will you join the search?" James nodded firmly. "Yes." Together, the camp prepared for a journey into the unknown, a dangerous mission to find and stop the shadow before it could destroy them all. As they packed, James and Kira shared a quiet moment. "Thank you," Kira said, "for showing me a new way to fight and for standing by my side." James smiled. "We are stronger together." They clasped hands briefly, a simple touch that spoke of trust, respect, and something deeper. The next morning, the group set out. The jungle was thick and alive with strange sounds. Every step forward was a step into danger. James's scanner beeped softly, guiding them toward the shadow's heart. Along the way, James and Kira shared stories. Kira spoke of her childhood, her tribe, and her dreams. James told of Earth, his family, and the accident that changed his life. With every story, their bond grew stronger. One night around the campfire, James noticed Kira watching him closely. "What is it?" he asked. She hesitated. "I never thought I could trust a human like this, but now I do. You have changed me." James reached out, gently brushing a lock of hair from her face. "And you have changed me." The firelight flickered, casting shadows that danced around them. But danger was never far. As they moved deeper into the jungle, eerie noises surrounded them, whispers on the wind, footsteps that seemed to follow. Suddenly the ground shook. From the shadows emerged a creature unlike any they had seen, tall, covered in dark armor-like scales, with eyes that burned like fire, the source of the shadow. The group tensed. Weapons ready. James looked at Kira. "We face this together." Kira nodded always. The battle was about to begin. The jungle around them seemed to close in like a living wall. The thick trees blocked most of the pale sunlight, and strange sounds echoed from every direction. The air was heavy and humid, carrying the scent of wet earth and unknown plants. James and Kira led their group deeper into the heart of the jungle. Every step was cautious. Every shadow could hide danger. The feeling of being watched was almost constant. James kept his scanner active, eyes flicking between the device and the path ahead. Kira moved beside him, muscles tense, ready to strike. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. "Brace yourselves," shouted Kira. The earth split open near them, and from the crack emerged a massive creature, towering over the trees, covered in dark, armor-like scales. Its eyes burned red like hot coals, and its claws scraped the rocks with deadly precision. This was the source of the shadow. The group froze, fear gripping their hearts. James wheeled forward, steady and calm. "We can't run. We have to fight." Kira nodded, eyes blazing. Together, the creature roared, a sound like thunder rolling through the valley. It charged at them, shaking the ground with every step. The aliens attacked first, claws and spears slashing. But the creature's armor was thick, barely scratched. James fired his plasma rifle, aiming for the creature's eyes. The beams hit, making it roar in pain, but it did not stop. Kira dodged a massive swipe, rolling behind a tree. She called out, "We need a plan!" James thought quickly. "Its eyes are vulnerable, but we need to distract it." He turned to the group. "Split up. Draw its attention away from me and Kira." The warriors scattered, shouting and attacking. Trying to confuse the beast, James and Kira circled around. Searching for an opening, the creature's gaze followed the warriors. Its massive head turning slowly, James whispered to Kira, "When I get close, blind it. Then you strike its heart." Kira nodded, her eyes sharp and focused. James activated his chair's boosters, speeding toward the beast. The creature snapped its jaws. But James was too fast. He fired a blinding flash from a device on his chair, aimed directly at the creature's eyes. The beast roared. Blinded and furious, Kira saw her chance. With a powerful leap, she drove her spear deep into the creature's chest. The beast howled in pain, thrashing wildly. James wheeled quickly, firing shots to keep it distracted. But the creature was not done. It swung a massive tail, sending Kira flying across the clearing. James rushed to her side. She was hurt but alive. "We can't stop now," she gasped. James helped her up. "We finished this together." The battle grew more intense. The creature's strength was incredible. James and Kira's teamwork was stronger. James used his technology to predict the creature's moves, guiding Kira's attacks. Kira's speed and power struck where James's shots could not reach. Together, they wore the beast down. Finally, with one last strike from Kira's spear, the creature collapsed, its roar fading into silence. The jungle grew still. The group gathered, exhausted but victorious. Kira looked at James, her eyes filled with gratitude. "And something more? You saved us all," she said softly. James smiled. "We saved each other." The elders approached, their faces proud. "You have proven yourselves," the eldest said, "not just in strength, but in unity. Together you are stronger than any threat." Kira and James exchanged a look, a promise of partnership and respect. That night, under the stars, James and Kira sat quietly. Kira spoke. "I never thought I would fight beside a human, especially one in a wheelchair." James chuckled softly. "I never thought I would find a friend like you." Shared a moment of peace, knowing the battles were far from over, but confident they could face whatever came next. The sun rose gently over the alien camp, casting golden light on the weary faces of the warriors who had survived the battle. The once tense and uncertain air was now filled with a calm that only comes after a hard-fought victory. James sat quietly, near the fire, his wheelchair resting beside him. His body was tired, but his spirit was strong. He watched as Kira moved through the camp, her steps lighter, her face calmer. The proud alien warrior who once mocked him was now different. Changed by what they had faced together around them, the aliens who had doubted James now looked at him with new eyes. No longer was he the weak human in a chair. He was a hero, a symbol of courage and strength beyond the body. The camp elder approached James slowly, his silver scales shimmering in the morning light. He placed a hand on James's shoulder. "You have changed many minds," the elder said softly, "including mine." James smiled politely. "I only did what I had to do," the elder nodded. "Your strength is not only in your arms and mind, it is in your heart. You have earned our respect." Across the camp, Kira stood on a raised stone platform. Her bright green eyes scanned the crowd, then fixed on James. "My people," she began, her voice clear and strong, "we have faced a great danger. Many feared we would not survive. But through courage, skill, and unity, we have overcome." She paused, then turned toward James. "This human, James, has proven that strength is not measured by legs or claws, but by will and heart. He fought beside us, saved lives, and showed us a new way." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Aliens who once whispered insults now shouted words of praise. Kira stepped down from the platform and moved toward James. The camp watched. In silence as she approached, she knelt before him, a sign of deep respect in her culture. "James," she said softly, "will you accept the honor of becoming a warrior of Zirath?" James looked at her, moved by the gesture. "I accept," he replied. From that day forward, James was no longer seen as an outsider. He was one of them, a warrior, a leader, and a friend. He trained with the aliens, sharing his knowledge of Earth technology and human resilience. In return, he learned their ancient ways and customs. Kira and James grew close, their bond strengthened by shared battles and mutual respect. One evening, as the twin moons rose high, James and Kira sat together. Under the stars, Kira smiled. "You have taught us much, James. Not just how to fight, but how to believe." James looked at her. "And you have taught me the meaning of strength, beyond what I thought possible." They clasped hands, the glow of the moons lighting their faces, but the peace was fragile. The jungle still held secrets, and new threats might arise. Yet James and Kira faced the future with courage. Knowing they had each other, and the respect of a world once closed to them, together they would face whatever came next.